Welcome back everybody, I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and this video is a little bit different in that we're not talking about a scary story at all. I mean, maybe we are. In some ways this is scarier than most actual horror movies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Today we're talking about The Artifice Girl, an extremely low-budget, independent film that apparently made some noise at a festival, ended up on the radar of some people whose opinions I respect. That's how I heard about it. And like I said, this is not a horror movie, but I admit, sometimes I find myself wanting to talk about a book or a movie that doesn't fit neatly into the very niche space I'm attempting to carve out with this channel. And I usually stop myself like, Jake, in the ever-churning content machine, brand is everything. Stick to your brand. Beware the brand. So let's compromise. I'll talk about The Artifice Girl with a special emphasis on what I think makes it existentially frightening. Fair enough? I just feel like as a YouTube channel with only 250 subscribers, please go ahead and massacre those like and subscribe buttons, by the way. But I have an appreciation for what it's like to make something creative that, you know, because you haven't really made a name for yourself yet, your expectation is that not a lot of people are going to see it. And I know that in those early stages, every like, every share, every positive comment goes a long way towards helping expand something's reach. So I just wanted to add my voice to the mix and say The Artifice Girl is an excellent movie, and the few dollars it costs to rent online are well worth it. Okay, so The Artifice Girl was written and directed by Franklin Ritch, who also stars as Gareth, a man who is brought in for questioning about his online chat room activity with children, which is not what you want. But we quickly learn that our guy Gareth is not actually a predator. Instead, he is the creator of an artificial intelligence that poses as a young girl online in order to catch people who are. And in 3 distinct episodes, this film follows the progress of this AI as it starts to evolve beyond its originally intended purpose. Now, there's something I feel duty-bound to say here right off the bat, which is that this is not a high-octane movie. I mean, those 3 episodes I just talked about are really just 3 conversations. That's it. They're incredibly interesting conversations. They're conversations with twists and turns and excitement and reveals, and it's all very gripping, but you hear science fiction AI movie and you think iRobot, and this is not that. The Artifice Girl, I don't know how much it cost to make. My guess is that a single frame of iRobot was probably more expensive than this whole movie. And so while it's inherently limited in, you know, what it can feasibly portray when it comes to this AI, I actually thought this was one of the most thoughtful and thought-provoking explorations of artificial intelligence I've ever seen. AI is, as we speak here in May 2023, really starting to come to the forefront of our public consciousness. ChatGPT has been improving at a rate that many experts actually find alarming. And obviously the fears of AI going off the rails has become pretty well-worn territory in science fiction, but usually those fears center around, like, what does this mean for humanity? What is this going to do to us? It's more rare to see the approach of what are the dangers of this from the AI's perspective. Like, what if we, even with the best intentions, create something that can suffer? Do we trust ourselves to handle that in an ethically responsible way? And, you know, I'm not sure if we're great at handling the suffering of human beings in an ethically responsible way, to say nothing of the suffering of all the other life forms on this planet. So I do think the question of AI suffering is a fraught one, to say the least. I think the best cinematic exploration of that concept comes from Alex Garland's debut film Ex Machina from 2014, which is one of my favorite films of all time. And I don't say this lightly, The Artifice Girl really seems to be cut from the same cloth. Like I said, it's far more limited, but it feels similarly thoughtful and, I don't know, scary. That honestly seems like the best word for it. It's scary to ponder this precipice that we're on. It reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror where it's like, it's not a horror show, but it does feel like someone's been playing Bop It on that part of your psyche that experiences existential fear and dread. And I think the AI issue is especially effective at that because it really strips away the illusion we have of humans being the pinnacle of evolution. It's how we look at things now, but, you know, you consider the exponential improvements AI has been making. Maybe we aren't the pinnacle of anything. Maybe we're just a step on the way to something that we can't even comprehend. The AI depicted in The Artifice Girl is named Cherry. She's a young girl and she's portrayed rather brilliantly by Tatum Matthews. I believe this is her first acting role, but she does a really good job of writing that fine line between, you know, feeling like you're talking to a computer and feeling like you're talking to a real person. And that's one of the great mysteries of AI, right? As it becomes sufficiently advanced, does it become conscious? Does it have an inner experience of the world? Is there something that it is like to be this AI? Because if there is, that is a very morally significant thing to know. And at a certain point, AIs like Cherry may become so advanced that whether it is conscious or not, we're not going to be able to tell the difference. It's not hard to see where that leads, right? You don't have many friends? Well, here's a friend, and he is more attentive and responsive to your needs than any human being you've ever met. Why don't you tell him about your day? You can't get a girlfriend? Well, here's a girlfriend, and you can customize her appearance, personality, and sex drive exactly the way you want it. And setting aside what such developments would do to our interpersonal social lives as human beings, what if this system becomes so advanced that it develops consciousness? And what if listening to you bitch about your coworkers and lying under you night after night is actually the last thing in the world it wants to do, right? What if it fucking hates you? It sounds ridiculous, but as this movie demonstrates, it's not. We might accidentally create an entire miserable slave race and not even know it. But as we all know, slaves have never once fantasized about rising up and killing all their masters, so at least the problems will end there, I'm sure. See what I mean? That this is horror in a way? Like, to me, the idea of what makes something frightening or not is largely predicated on, like, how equipped do I feel to deal with it? It's why people are scared of the dark, right? It's not just that anything could be lurking in it, it's that if you can't see, you are incapable of running away or fighting back, you're just completely helpless. Intellectually speaking, we are in the dark when it comes to artificial intelligence. We don't know what could be lurking out there, and the reality could end up being far more horrifying than anything any of our science fiction writers have imagined. And as the Artifice Girl demonstrates, even the people among us who are smart enough to create this stuff might find themselves totally helpless when it comes to knowing how to manage it responsibly. And to me, that's terror-inducing, even though there's not a slasher or a jump scare in sight. Not only am I going to give the Artifice Girl 4 stars out of 5, but I am going to say this might actually be my favorite film of 2023 thus far. Alright guys, as always, stay tuned for more spooky story content coming soon, but in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.